Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, thank you for joining us, joining me, our community, and welcome back to those who have actually seen my videos before. My name is Laura Aural. I'm a psychic medium and a medical intuitive, and I've been posting predictions on my channel here for the last couple of years, but I've actually been doing predictions behind the scene for some time. I've only started to publicly post them the last couple of years. And I open up my channel now for people in the community who would like to ask questions. Just the YouTube channel where people can go onto my YouTube channel, and in the community tab, I open it up for people to ask questions, and I do these Q&As, and I do them every couple of weeks. So this is the last one for the year, and I'd like to thank you for watching my videos and thank you for your interest. I've really been, humbled by the amount of feedback that I'm getting and people reaching out and wanting readings, and surprised to hear that people have actually been following my videos for quite some time. And so thank you. Thank you for taking interest in my channel, in my videos, and what Spirit really has to share. And thank you to Spirit for allowing me to be the conduit. Okay, I'd like to get started. This is the last, as I said, the last Q&A for the year. Excuse me. So I'll get straight to the questions, because there are around 21, 22 questions to go through. And I'll try not to waffle on. Okay. And I'll try to be as accurate as I possibly can. And I may tend to look to the left when I'm kind of receiving the information. So I'll look down when I'm receiving the information. And I'm not always looking at the camera. So I'll start with the first question. Hi, Laura. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to ask questions. What do you see for Australia after the horrific terrorist attack on our beloved Jewish community? Do you think the Albanese government will take responsibility and admit it was their fault? Do you see Albanese resigning? Many are calling for his resignation. And what do you see for the Liberal and One Nation in the future? Is there a chance that the government will change? Do they have a chance to win the next election? And what about the state of Victoria? Do you see Labor Party losing the next election? Excuse me. There's a few questions here, and I'll go through them one by one. What do I see for Australia after the horrific terrorist attack? It was a horrific terrorist attack. And as you know, or some of you may know, I'm from Sydney, Australia myself, and I actually lived in Bondi. This happened on Bondi Beach, where a father and son went to Bondi and stood on a bridge and basically shot at the peaceful Jewish community there that was celebrating their religious festival. And I actually lived in Bondi. I walked on that very bridge. I walked in those areas. And in fact, we were there just a month ago. And I was shocked and really appalled with the lack of response from the government. So I think we all feel the same in relation to that. I think what's actually happened is it's brought out a lot of patriotism. I think a lot of people who have actually been apprehensive to speak up are now feeling empowered to speak up. And we don't have very strong leadership in this country. People are actually afraid. The leadership in this country is actually afraid to say it was an Islamic terrorist attack. And it has nothing to do with the religion itself. It's to do with it being a terrorist attack. And so I don't believe that the Albanese government will admit that. I don't believe that they would ever say that they would be responsible for anything. I know that they're getting a lot of backlash, and I believe I predicted over 12 months ago that I think it was in my first Australia video that the Albanese would receive serious backlash towards the end of their second term. This was before he was actually elected for the second term. I predicted that he would win, and I predicted that he would start to get some serious backlash in his second term. But I believe, so I don't see Albanese will take, or his government will take responsibility, even though they're being pressured. I feel what they're choosing to do at the moment is focus on tightening already very strict gun laws and tightening free speech. And where I feel they're going to be taking it is if you want to look at the UK for an example of what they'll be doing with the tightening the laws around free speech. In the UK, the laws have become very strict that if you were to post something online that they class as hate speech, you could actually be prosecuted. And so I feel that that's where the government's taking it. And I actually feel, unfortunately, they've got the Labor government has a very strong machine behind them. Albanese has a very strong machine behind him. And I actually got that the Labor will win a third term. And I just feel we need to knuckle down and brace ourselves a little bit, because they are going to be trying to implement quite a few things. And they're using this as the excuse to do it, to roll it out and roll it out rapidly. They're using it as an opportunity, the opportunity that they're trying to detract from themselves, detract from what the main issues really are. And they're trying to implement some of these authoritarian policies, and this is really their excuse to do it. I'm not suggesting that they have anything to do with the actual attack itself, but I feel that they're actually taking this opportunity of this tragic event to actually tighten laws on free speech. And it may be a little one-sided. So just take a look at what's happening in the UK, and I feel like they're trying to replicate that here, and I feel they will be successful in replicating that here. In saying that, he won't resign. Even if you're marching in the streets, he won't resign, because he's got a powerful machine behind him. And I do see Liberal and One Party come together. They hadn't really come together before. They used to see the One Nation more as a thorn in their side. But now the leadership of Pauline Hanson and One Nation is helping to empower people here in Australia, patriots here in Australia. And we need that leadership. And what we have to do is probably expect that they will be tightening things up, becoming stricter, introducing things that a lot of people won't be happy about. But there will be, I see a new government winning in around 2032. Unfortunately, it will take another 7 years of these policies. And I feel a lot of these things will be reversed when that happens. Pauline Hanson's really building momentum, and she won't come under a Liberal banner. We've recently had Barnaby Joyce come over, and the country, the Liberals have recently had Barnaby Joyce come over and join One Nation, and it seems like more of that's going to be happening. More people are going to be supporting Pauline Hanson's leadership, and I see her becoming quite a powerful voice. So I suppose we just have to weather the storm. There can be a lot of positives, but I feel in the digital space particularly, it's going to get quite. You're going to have to take a lot of caution. Okay, to come. In terms of Victoria, the state of Victoria, so federally, I feel Labor will win a third term. Oh, I just got, no, they won't. They will crash and burn. Okay, I'm getting mixed messages here. What's happened? I just got they're going to crash and burn, and there's going to be an early election, but not this cycle. It'll be the next cycle. It's not the time for Pauline Hanson. She wouldn't be elected in 2028, nor would the Liberals. There's enough clout behind Labor to win another term. They've just got too much power behind them at the moment. In Victoria, I think this is where I'm seeing the change. I'm seeing a change. I'm seeing a change in Victoria. Um, I'm actually seeing a change in government in Victoria. Yeah. Okay. I hope that's answered your question. Okay, next question. How far will the government overreach go in Australia with digital ID, censorship, surveillance? Will it get worse or will the government relinquish their current agenda? They won't relinquish their current agenda and they will become more stringent. They will become more stringent with censorship, digital ID. They will really start to crack down. I actually see images of them raiding people's homes. Like seeing somebody post something online and having police come to their door. That's what I'm starting to see. And they will try to suppress backlash from that as well. In fact, they will try to censor protest as well. So it will get worse before it gets better. But there is an underground movement. There's this undercurrent that I feel is just building, but it's not time for a change, unfortunately. Um, yeah. And I feel Albanese is going to do enough to have people shift their consciousness from where they are now to start supporting him again. Throw some honey in the pot and start to shift the consciousness of people in terms of their support, and they will be supported. Unfortunately, I feel it needs to get harder and tougher before some real change is made. But it won't be too late, and there will be a change. Yeah. Okay. Next question. I would like to know about the digital ID in Canada. We don't want it here. I don't think any of us want digital ID. Canada, I'm getting images of Canada. They're trying to pass something, but it keeps on falling. They try to pass it across, but it keeps on falling. So I have a feeling they're trying to push this policy and they don't have enough clout to actually make it happen. Um, and what they're doing is that it's going to look like they're giving up on it, but they're not giving up on it. What they're doing is they're working behind the scenes and they're building behind the scenes momentum in the hopes that they're going to win their next election and then they will have strength to introduce these policies. I think your next election's coming up in 28, 29. Yeah, I don't see them winning the next election. They won't be able to implement it. Whatever they implement, that's not going to have the strength that they actually would hope. Because I see them just passing this paper across, almost like pass the buck along, pass this paper along, and it drops. So there's even within their party, I'm sensing that there's actual conflict within their party, even when it comes to some of these policies. I feel people are actually wising up within their party and they're not wanting to be part of something that they're trying to implement because I think that even they know that they're going to lose the next election and they don't want to be part of it, is what I'm starting to feel. I hope that's answered your question. Okay. Let me just. Hi, Laura. Thank you. I would like to know what's in store for British Columbia, Canada. Now, let me see. British Columbia, which side of the map is that on? Okay. Uh, Look, I can't, to be honest, when I actually do my videos, even my slides, there are only some things I remember because when I'm channeling this stuff or I'm tuning in, there's just so much information that comes in. I don't remember everything. Um, and as you can appreciate, I just can't carry all of this information on me all the time. And so I receive it, I speak it, and I let it go. So I can't remember some things that I may have said before in the previous videos, um, in terms of either their position and that, but some things that do appear to me um, during these types of readings is something that needs to be highlighted. It's coming to my consciousness, and so it needs to be spoken about. So what I'm remembering, or what's coming to me, is I'm getting really high levels of homelessness that's happening in British Columbia. I'm getting Vancouver, especially. Um, I want to bring that map back up. Where was that map? Firstly, I just got there's going to be an earthquake that's going to go through that region. I don't know if it's prone to earthquakes, but I'm kind of just from where I'm getting, it's going to go through almost like the center. I'm getting around Kamloops, down through Prince George, down that way towards the Rockies. And I see the coastal mountains, what says here, the coastal mountains. I see rocks falling. So I don't know if that's off the Pacific Ocean. Okay, it's close to Alaska. Okay, that makes sense. I don't know if it's happened in Alaska or it will be happening because I feel there will be an earthquake, and so that part of that region I'm sensing that will be either some aftershocks or something will be affected by that earthquake, is what I'm sensing there. I'm getting highly impoverished areas in certain parts of British Columbia. And I'm getting drugs, people who are drugged out on the street, homelessness, and people on drugs in certain areas. In Vancouver, um, I don't know whether you've got a premier that's promising to clean up, or you've got somebody who's upcoming who's going to start talking about cleaning up the homelessness and cleaning up the crime. If they're not saying it now, I actually feel it will be coming up, and it will that they will be talk about cleaning up crime and homelessness is what I'm getting. And I'm getting, I don't know whether you've got a problem with dirty water, contaminated water or something, but that's what I'm getting. I just feel like the region just outside Vancouver and or maybe within and going up, that region needs a little help. Um, there will be a change in government, changing government party, and there will be promises to actually, there'll be focus to actually make some changes. I see Canada's going to be in a very similar position to Australia, where they're going to have to ride things out, and a few other countries, to be honest, too. I do see there's going to be, it's already starting to happen in Europe where the opposing parties are now starting to come into power, and they're starting to actually um, be more nationalist in their approach to government policy, wanting to protect their sovereignty, wanting to close their borders. And there are countries who are wanting to start deporting immigrants that have been pouring over and causing instability. But I don't feel that that's being talked about in British Columbia. I'm getting the talk of homelessness, to clear up crime and homelessness and drugs in the streets is what I'm getting from that. Yeah. I'm also being told rising waters as well. I don't know if it's in relation to, but I'm getting rising waters more in the center rather than from the ocean. So maybe the rivers or something overflowing in the banks of the rivers. Yeah. Anyway, I hope that's answered your question. I'll close that down. Excuse me. Hi, Laura. Thank you. And can you see if the Netherlands, native Dutch, will start to be proud of their heritage again without having to placate to nationalities that live there? Do you see any positive future for the farmers and safety for the rural areas? Yeah, your rural farmers are really having a hard time. They're complaining a lot too. I'm getting them really complaining. There's been a lot of suppression, but I feel like it's almost like you can only have so much and then you've got to start vomiting it out. And I feel like it's getting to that point where there's a rising in voice, a rising of can't tolerate anymore and being more bold in their actions. There's more patriotism in that country than there's more patriotism in the countries than we realize. And what's actually happening is these laws are being passed to suppress us. Incidences that are happening, they're kind of riding on the coattail of these incidences, these tragedies, these terrible events, and they're using it as an opportunity to introduce stringent policies to restrict. And what's going to happen is I just see it rising, tensions are rising, and it's going to start to get 26, 27, 28, moving into 29. It's 27, 28, 26, 27, 28 is where I really see it rising and rising strongly. And there's going to be a lot of civil unrest, and these are the time that we need to buckle down. And I do see from in some places 27, not so much, 2028 and 2029. I'm starting to see things shifting in some places, but things continuing on in others. And I've said in a couple of my other videos that I really see a very precarious period up until 2032, where those things can be quite unstable. I do see the same thing. There will be a change. There will be patriotism. You will maintain. It's not going to be lost. So don't. What I'm feeling, Netherlands isn't going to be lost to the migrants pouring over the countries, even though it is becoming overwhelming in some places. The overwhelm is causing the backlash and the patriotism, the people to be patriotic, to step forward against these policies. And in the end, collectively, we do have that voice. Okay. Next question. You included Germany on the list of countries in relation to the conflict. My question is about the fate of Prague and the Czech Republic. Is it linked to the German case? Is it better to move to another part of Czech Republic, east or west, or leave the country? Will I personally move soon? I just got the Czech Republic is not as problematic as you think, as it is in some other countries. It's interesting because I'm seeing a lot of people rising and protesting, but this would be, sometimes it's better the devil you know than the devil you don't. And even though they've had a changing government in Germany, I still feel it's very volatile and dangerous in some parts of Germany. I think there's a lot of conflict and I just see conflict in the streets and things like that in Germany. I feel it's better the devil you know. Also, too, I just got that I just feel that you don't want to move. You don't want to move if you're not forced to move. And you won't need to move. And if you were thinking of moving within your country, um, I'm getting East Coast. East is better for you. I don't know where that borders for you, East. Let me just quickly bring that up. Czech Republic, the fate of Prague. I want to see where East is. See if I can kind of get a bit of a clearer vision. Okay, so East is towards Poland, towards Slovakia. So yeah, I actually see East is better for you if you were needing to move. Prague is closer to, where's Prague? In that other map, I saw it. Prague is closer to Germany, but I still feel you're further inland, you're not along the coast. And so I feel you may be okay. And I also feel that you don't want to move, but if you were to move, I do feel the East is a better place for you to move. But like I said, better the devil you know, I actually feel you'll be more protected in your country, maybe especially for you and the energies around you. So I'm just speaking for you and what I'm reading for you. Okay, let's move on. Will Europe endure an economic collapse or a significant decline in 2026? I do see there's going to be a lot of turmoil in Europe. I feel there's honestly, there's very poor leadership that's happening in Europe, and I feel there's a lot of warmongering that's happening. I feel there's a lot of corruption that's happening, a lot of corruption in relation to the funding between Ukraine and the European Union. And I see Europe between 2026 and 2028 is going to be a very volatile period. You've got to remember when I do these predictions, I don't use any tools. I don't use any astrology. I don't use any tarot cards. I'm pretty much just sharing what I'm getting. So the time frame that I'm getting is what I'm intuiting, what I'm feeling, what I'm sensing, what's being shared with me. It may differ to other people who actually do astrology, but this is the time frame that I'm getting 2026 to 2028, I sense is a precarious period, particularly for Europe. I do feel it can end up going into 2029. But I don't feel everything's going to happen simultaneously. I feel like these, like I've said before in other videos, there will be concurrent events happening, and the United States is basically the epicenter of of how what the ripple effect will be. And United States is not prepared to allow authoritarian to rule and to collapse. And other countries now are now starting to buck against this old way. It can't be changed overnight. And so it's going to reach a point where it will come, yeah. So economically in Europe, I do see it's going to be more precarious and a possible economic collapse for them. I do see that happening. Between 2026 to 2028, 29 is a very volatile period economically for Europe. I hope that's answered your question. Hey, Laura, can you tell me something about Faroe Islands future? The Faroe Islands. What am I getting for the Faroe Islands? I'm getting it's very laid back. I don't know if there's, I don't know if you have mining towns, but I don't feel, yeah, I don't feel it's a very, I don't see it. If your question is around the future of Faroe Islands, will it be taken over by the United States because the Trump administration had expressed interest in Greenland? And I don't know whether the Faroe Islands is an offshoot to Greenland, but I believe that you're part of Denmark or governed by Denmark. I don't quite understand. politically how you work there, but I don't feel that you're going to be bought out by the United States, if that's what your question is referring to. I feel the interest is more in Greenland itself. I feel in Greenland there's much more opportunity for mining. I do see that mining can happen in Faroe Islands. Um, I don't know if it's iron ore. There's something to do with iron ore, and I'm seeing something about iron ore and red rich minerals. I'm just curious now. Okay, if you're referring to, you'd have to be specific. Um, what I'm sensing about the Faroe Islands is I understand that the Faroe Islands is connected to Denmark. I don't know if you're kind of governed by Denmark or you're part of Denmark, but Faroe Islands and Greenland, I feel if you're in relation to if the Trump's administration's interest in Greenland, I don't feel that there's going to be an interest in the Faroe Islands in the same way. I feel that the interest in Greenland is because they have rich opportunity for mining, perhaps rare earth minerals or some form of mining there on Greenland. But for Faroe Islands, I don't feel that that opportunity is there. And I don't feel there's an interest from what I'm sensing from the United States in actually purchasing the Faroe Islands. I do see that you will stay as part of Denmark, and I don't see anything really major changing for you. If you want to know further, you're going to have to ask some specific questions, because just generally that's what I'm getting. Okay, I'll move on. Okay. Hey, Laura, this is a bit of a personal question. I'll be turning 18 on the 18th of January. It feels a bit weird to say, but I feel like I'm behind in life. I have a lot of ambitions and dreams, yet I feel stuck in a loop of procrastination and laziness. Is it really hurtful to think? It really hurts to think about because I feel destined for greatness, but lately I've been getting a feeling that it is slipping away from me. Recently, I've become more and more interested in finance, and I'm thinking about going to university, but I'm not sure yet if it is a wise decision. I wanted to ask for your opinion on that, and I was also wondering if 2026 will be a pivotal year in my life, in the sense that it could be an extremely good year. Maybe some advice would help. I have a vague idea of what I want, but I just can't quite put my finger on it at the moment. Okay, you've said something significant here, and the significance is you're 18, you're not quite 18 yet, and I never do readings on minors without parental consent. And because it's in a general forum and you've put the question out for others to see, I'll answer it. I'll answer it broadly for you. And yeah, if you're wanting something more in depth, I would, you could look at doing that after your 18th birthday. Uh, I'm sorry to hear that you're actually been feeling stuck. I think a lot of us actually experienced that. And the procrastination. You really need to work out for yourself what your core values are, what you truly do value for yourself, um, and not allow yourself to be pushed in any direction. And so you can actually do some assessments to see where your strengths and vocation lies, and do these assessments where you can actually determine what your core values are. And that can be the driving force and the motivating force to help you achieve something. Universities for some, not for all. And I feel that you would be okay in university. I don't see that there would be a problem. I'm going to be mindful in saying anything more deeply. What I do feel is in relation to finance, you've got to be cautious of taking something that you don't want to get bored with. Um, and you've got to take it for the right reasons. That's why I really would encourage you to actually do something where you can actually discover what your core values are, what you really value in your life. And there's a whole bunch of questions that you go through that can narrow down where your true interests lie in terms of what you value in life and what you feel your mission in life is. And perhaps a little bit more self-discovery will help you get to that point. You're still young, and it's okay to not know at this point. Um, and as you start to discover things, what's important is to know what you don't want and be true and honest with yourself in doing that. Um, I feel it's really great that when you're feeling you're destined for greatness, and don't lose that vision for yourself, don't lose that hope for yourself. You've just got to work out where your strengths and true vocation lies, and you will find that procrastination and laziness goes once you've discovered that within yourself. Um, I think I need to leave that there. Um, but I'm definitely open to answering further questions for you once you turn 18. If you want to go a little bit more in depth, feel free to reach out to me then. God bless. Do you see a crash in the United States stock market is coming? When in 2026, is it due to AI stocks overvaluation? Okay. I'm getting that there won't be the United States. I just got the United States will not crash. There won't be a crash in the United States. Um, if there are some stocks may have issues. I can see that AI can have issues, but I don't actually see a crash per se. I can see a volatile period, but I actually feel the cabinet that the Trump administration has, gathered seems to be very business minded and business oriented. And the objective is to actually reduce its debt and become a wealthy nation or maintain its wealth and grow in its wealth. Otherwise, if it would have kept on its path, it would have bankrupted, become a bankrupted nation. I don't see that happening. Um, they've already brought in, I think, $20 trillion in tariffs. They're looking at making changes. They're looking at eliminating the IRS. They're looking at changing the way things will run for a more stable future. And even if that's where there's going to be a lot of instability to actually try to have this administration fail as well. The objective is to have the United States collapse. I don't see the United States collapsing. I don't see its stock market collapsing. There may be some stocks that will have issues. I do see issues with AI, overinflation. Overinflated prices or overvaluated. I can see those things will start to correct itself over the next few years. But the stock market itself, I don't see any form of crash on the stock market or a form of it hitting a depression or anything like that. Um, they're my feelings on that. Okay. Dear Laura, as an exception, I have a private question. Will there be a resolution, a fair division of the seaside house with my brother's inheritance? Or will I have to file a lawsuit? What are the prospects? Will I need to initiate some legal steps? I just got yes. You will need to initiate legal steps. I'm getting that somebody is quite stubborn here and making things difficult for you. There will be a resolution. It will be more fair than you actually realize. Thought that it would, but you will have to, yeah, you will have to file a lawsuit. You will have to threaten to file a lawsuit. They will have to see that you're serious. And you will have to be tough. I'm feeling you need to be tough and strong. Yeah. Okay. Did you ask another question before? Oh, okay, from the Czech. Okay. Okay. Hi, Laura. What is your prediction for Woodside Energy shares and Iluka Resources Limited shares and as an investment? I got a caution around Woodside Energy shares. I just got to be very cautious around that. I got Iluka Resources Limited is a little volatile. I've not heard of these two. I'm really curious. I should look it up. Just my first impressions. I don't know if something's been deemed a Ponzi scheme, but I'm getting that something around I'm getting something being shown to me and I'm hearing Ponzi scheme, and I'm getting a caution around Woodside Energy shares. I feel like you could potentially lose money there. Iluka Resources Limited, I don't know if they're related, but I actually feel there's going to be a different outcome. I feel you can make money there, but I feel it's going to be volatile and it's going to be and then there will be a drop. But I feel it can kind of fluctuate there. So it depends on how bold you are with wanting to invest. But I'm getting the Iluka Resources probably a little bit more, even though it's fluctuating, a little bit more stable as opposed to the Woodside that may appear more stable. I just don't get a good sense of trusting it. But that's just from my perspective. So please do your due diligence and trust in your own guidance as well. Hi, Laura. Can you see about West Africa in the coming years? Will the puppet governments fall and will the West be removed from influencing the governments in those 14 countries? I just got to know because they're very reliant financially on them. I just got to know economically, financially, there's some kind of reliance. And there's still going to be a lot of influence in relation to that. I don't feel that they'll actually be breaking away from that too soon. Some of the puppet governments, I feel what's starting to happen is some of the nations are starting to negotiate with the United States. They're going to need the West in some regard, but under the current influence, there's going to start to be new influences which will actually help them become a little bit more independent economically. I feel if they start negotiating, get into negotiations with the United States in relation to mining and economics that way, I feel that there will actually be a little bit more independence and wealth for some of those nations. At the moment, I feel France is I think France is the country that actually has a very strong influence financially in those regions. And I feel that that's still there. But France is also having problems. And the United States is negotiating with countries that probably hadn't negotiated with before. And I feel they've already starting to do that with the Congo and some of these other regions. because I feel that what the Trump administration is really wanting to do is enrich, to empower these nations to enrich themselves as well and become more self-sufficient and less reliant on the imperial influence of Europe and the United Kingdom. And I feel that Trump is actually, and his administration is trying to implement some of those policies even in these West African nations. There have been some agreements, and that's where some of the fighting stopped as well, because when you talk about economics and wanting to actually be involved in trade and negotiations there, it will start to have a bit of influence. I don't see anything in that region really till after 2032 to 2037. Financially is going to be good for some of these countries. I do see some things changing financially for some of these countries from around 2032 to 2037, 2040, but not leading up to 2030. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Is Israel or the USA going to do more military attacks on Iran soon? No, um, not military attacks directly on Iran. It's going to be on their proxies, and it's going to be on where terrorist cells are actually forming, and it will be in response and retaliation to things that are happening, to attacks on military, either United States military or any of some of the Western countries that are, yeah, that may be. It would be in relation to that. I actually do see Israel. It may flare up with Israel and Iran. Um, but I don't see it really getting out of hand. I actually see they're really working hard at trying to get peace negotiations in the Middle East. And I do see countries like Jordan, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, they're really involved in these talks as well. And so any attacks will be in retaliation too, but there's not going to be full on conflict. And I don't believe there will be aerial strikes like there were on that nuclear power plant. I don't see it like that. I see it more in retaliation to anything that's happening to those proxy nations or terror cells that are happening across the globe. That's where I see that will be happening. That may be funded by Iran. Okay. Oh, will Iran retaliate by closing the Strait of Hormuz? That's not going to happen. I don't see that happening. I'm actually going to be doing a video on the Middle East. There's been a bit of delay in me getting that, but I will be getting that out soon. So I'll see if I can cover anything that comes to me. These are just like mini readings, so I'll see what comes to me. Can you see if Starmer has capitulated and given UK over to Islam? He has now taken money from churches whilst giving millions to mosques. I think that in itself shows that he has capitulated, him and his government, and they will continue to do so. And I actually see that there will be some serious problems in the UK to come. I've done a few videos previously. Yeah, I actually see it's going to get worse before it gets better for the UK. And I do see the Islamic influence actually grow more powerful in the UK. I also do see uprising happening as well. So don't lose hope on, I do see that they're really trying to introduce Sharia law in some places. I don't know if they've already done that, but there's really going to be a battle. And I feel the opposing party is not coming together strongly enough to actually try to build momentum. Uh, yeah. But I think like a few of the other Commonwealth countries, unfortunately, I feel you're just going to have to ride it out a little bit, weather the storm. But I feel, yeah, United Kingdom's going to be knocked around a little bit. Islam's influence is growing strong, and yes, I do feel he is capitulating and will continue to. Hi, Laura. I hope all is well with you. How high do you think silver will go in 2026? I think silver's hit about 100. Well, that's in Australia. Australian dollars, I think. I think the last time I looked, $100. Silver, I do see it in 2026. I don't see it going above 200 in 2026, but I can see it reaching 300 over the next few years. But also too, even though silver's getting strong and it will grow rapidly, I also feel it's volatile as well. It doesn't have the stability of gold. I'm just getting platinum's going to do remarkably well, and platinum's going to be a little more stable than silver, is what I'm getting, more sustaining in terms of it won't fluctuate. Silver's going to fluctuate more. It will go high and it will go low. It will be, but I feel platinum will be more stable as well. But I can't see it for 2026. I can't see it exceeding 150, 200, 200 maybe. Okay. Laura, okay, I've read that one. Is the leader of Tibetan Buddhism, the Dalai Lama, still reincarnating? I just got yes. And is the current one really Tenzin Gyatso? I just got yes. Thank you, Laura. I hope everything's going well for you. I hope that's answered your question. But yes. If all lives and experiences are saved in the Hall of Records hard drive, how can source grow in data forever? Or does data get wiped after some long cycle? Wouldn't it become too much info for even source to comprehend? It's a very good. I don't believe they will be wiped out and reset because it's not a hard drive as such. It's really in the metaphysical and spiritual concepts, you're looking at source being inherently limitless and continuously expanding. Even in science itself, when they talk about the universe is expanding, consciousness is expanding with every experience that we have. It's expanding with every thought, with every action, emotion, event. If you believe in reincarnation, you come back into the earthly plane under a contract to actually experience something further for source and the soul to evolve. So it is forever evolving and ever expanding. And it's almost like a living dynamic library that just keeps on growing, a universal consciousness that just keeps on going. And evolving. So I don't see it ever being wiped out. And I see it just as it becomes more aware with more knowledge and growth and everything else that comes with that, it will continue to expand. I believe that's all the questions. I think there was one question I may have overlooked. I'm just going to go back over them. Questions. Make sure I've covered everything. I've covered that. Okay. Yes, I forgot this one. Could you maybe predict the World Cup football 2026 winning country if you can? Oh, gee, okay. I hope you don't place a bet on my prediction. Okay. I don't follow the World Cup. I don't follow the football. Imagine when you say football, it's soccer, because we say soccer here in Australia. So that's what I'm imagining that you're talking about, the FIFA World Cup. And I don't really follow it. Um, so I don't know the countries, but I can just see what's coming to me. Okay, the image that I'm getting here, I'm kind of getting three colors. Okay, I'm getting a white jersey with something along here, like black or something. Um, and I'm seeing another jersey of a different team, and it's two types of blue, like a dark blue, a light blue, and I think there's a little bit of black in there. And I'm getting something further back. So I say that this would be the one further back is probably the third place. So of the two, there's the white jersey and then there's the blue. I can't tell you the white jersey or the blue. I'm going to say blue. I'm going to say the blue. So I don't know who the blue is, but I'm getting the white jersey and the blue. And I saw in the distance something with green and with black in it. And that was a little bit further back. So I'd say that they were probably like third place. Um, but the last two that will be playing together, I see white jersey with some black here and maybe a bit of yellow, red or something, yellow and red and black along here. Um, I get that they're a very strong team. I don't know, Mexico? I don't know. I think I'm going to leave it there because okay, then thank you very much for watching. I hope it wasn't too long. And Merry Christmas for those who celebrate. And I'll be posting a couple of more videos before the end of the year. And thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. God bless. Bye for now.